It was raining in Montecito when the car pulled up to the big iron gates. The kind of rain that doesn't clean anything but just pushes the green from the sky down to the ground. For the past 3 weeks, the world has been full of crazy headlines, police lines, and scary, blurry video of the ambulance leaving that driveway in Brentwood. But here, in the quiet safety of her living room, Meg Ryan had been shut off in total silence. She hasn't talked to anyone. She hasn't posted anything online. The gossip magazines have shown pictures of her walking her dog, looking thin and hidden behind big sunglasses, guessing about how sad she is. But they don't know the truth. They don't know that for the last 10 years she was keeping a secret that has been hurting her inside ever since the news came out. A secret that Rob Reiner, the man she loved not just as a director but as the builder of her career and like a second dad, had told her in a scary moment of weakness that she had tried so hard to forget. Until today, when she finally sat down in the tall velvet chair, the camera team was told to keep the lights low and close, taking away the shiny Hollywood look that marked the time they created together in the late 80s. Meg didn't look like the fun, happy Sally from When Harry Met Sally today. She looked like a woman whose whole life had broken apart. She held a coffee mug in both hands, not drinking it, just holding the heat to stop her hands from shaking so much. She looked up, her blue eyes sharp but red from not sleeping, and for the first time she didn't try to smile. There was no trying to be charming. "I have to say this," she started, her voice low and rough without the happy tone millions knew and loved. "Because if I don't say it, if I keep hiding the perfect Hollywood family picture, then I am part of what happened to him. I am part of the lie that killed him." She took a shaky breath. People think they know Rob. They see the baseball hat, the beard, the big laugh that could fill a whole movie set. They see the Princess Bride, Stand By Me, the way he made the world seem kinder and funnier. But they didn't see what was going on in that house when no cameras were there. They didn't see the dark cloud that had been growing over Michelle and Rob for years. Meg stopped, looking out the window at the rain, her thoughts clearly going back to a certain time. "You have to understand, Rob wasn't just a director to me. After we finished When Harry Met Sally, he didn't just say goodbye and good luck. He took me in like family. He and Michelle were the example. They showed that love could last in this business. But about 5 years ago, things changed. I went over for dinner, just a normal Tuesday, nothing big, and the feeling in the house was heavy. You know when you walk into a room and you can tell a fight just happened? But this wasn't a normal fight. It felt serious and scary." Meg moved in her chair, putting the mug down on the coaster with a loud click. "Nick was there, and I have to be careful saying this because he is facing charges that could mean the death penalty. And he is their son. But the Nick I saw that night wasn't the kid I watched grow up. His eyes were empty, cold, and dangerous in a way that scared me. We were eating dinner and Rob, sweet Rob, who always wanted everyone happy, told a simple dad joke about the pasta. And Nick didn't laugh. Hit the table hard with his fist. The plates jumped, wine spilled, and the quiet after wasn't like a family used to bad moods. It was like people being held against their will. "This is what still scares me," she said, leaning in, her hands gripped so tight her knuckles went white. I looked at Michelle. Michelle, the strongest woman I knew, like the boss of the family. She didn't yell at him. She didn't tell him to go. She shrank back. She looked at her plate and said softly, "I'm sorry, Nick." And then I looked at Rob, and what I saw in his eyes that night is something I've been trying to forget ever since. It wasn't mad. It was scared, pure fear of his own son. He looked at me for a second, and his eyes begged me not to speak up. He wanted me to keep pretending, so I did. I ate the pasta. I drank the wine. I talked about small things while my heart was pounding fast. I left early that night, and when Rob walked me to the car, he hugged me too long. He whispered, "He's just having a hard time, Meg. We have to love him until he's better. Love fixes it all." That was Rob's big mistake. He thought love could protect them. He didn't see that to Nick in the way he was. Love wasn't protection. It was something he could use against them. The story she told wasn't about one sudden bad act, but a slow, painful wearing down. Meg said that in the last year, Rob's phone calls were different. They were rarer, and when they talked, he sounded empty. "He stopped talking about films," she said, a tear finally falling down her face. "Rob Reiner, the guy who lives for movies, stopped talking about them. He only talked about being safe. He asked strange questions. Do you have a good alarm system, Meg? Do you think people can change?" He was trapped in a prison he built himself. A prison from loving his kid too much. He and Michelle had sold things. They moved money. Someone mentioned this, but he didn't know how much. I learned later they were paying Nick's debts. Debts to bad people you don't want to owe. They kept trying to save his life with money, thinking one more payment would end the bad dream. The day the news came, Meg was in New York. I was in a cab, she remembered, her voice very quiet. My phone kept buzzing, not calls but non-stop alerts. I saw a text from Billy Crystal, just 3 words, "They're gone, Meg." I didn't get it. Gone where? Vacation? Then I clicked the link. I saw the sky view of the Brentwood house, the yellow tape, and I couldn't breathe. It felt like a punch to my neck because deep inside I wasn't shocked. That's the awful thing I have to deal with. I was heartbroken, I was destroyed, but not shocked. I knew the danger I saw at dinner 5 years ago had won. She paused to calm down, wiping her face with her hand, not taking the tissue from the producer. She wanted it real. She wanted people to see the pain. The news is calling it a quick, crazy moment. They're talking about drugs, mental problems, and yes, those matter, but we need to talk about the control. Rob and Michelle were controlled in their own home. They were cut off from others. I tried to visit 3 months ago. I was in LA and drove by. The gate was shut. I rang. Michelle answered, her voice like a robot. She said, "Meg, we love you, but not today." I heard yelling behind her. I heard glass break. And I left. I left because I didn't want to invade their privacy. I left because I didn't want to make them feel bad, and that's my regret. I should have crashed the gate with my car. I should have called police right then, but we're taught to be polite, to not get involved. The talk got darker when Meg told about a call from Rob 2 days before the killings. He called at 3 a.m. He sounded clear, oddly calm. He said, "Meg, I just want to hear you." I want to remember laughing. I asked what's wrong. He said, "I think we messed up, honey. We loved too much and protected too little." He said Nick wanted the house deed, thought Rob was hiding money. Rob said, "I said no tonight for the first time." I said no, and I felt good for him. I said good. Rob set a boundary. I didn't know saying no would cost his life. I didn't know no was what set it off. Meg's eyes got hard talking about the trial coming. I hear talk about defense plans. Lawyers on TV say Nick had less control because of issues. Let me say this. The Nick I saw knew what he was doing. He knew how to push their buttons. He knew if he cried, Michelle would give in. He knew if he said he'd hurt himself, Rob would pay. He used their kindness against them. He attacked their best qualities. To me, that's not crazy. That's mean on purpose. It's planned, cold use of the parent-child bond. And when that didn't work anymore, when the money stopped, he broke them. She stood up then, couldn't stay seated, walking on the small rug in the room. The rain hit the windows harder, like a beat matching the stress. Rob Reiner gave us The Princess Bride. He gave us As You Wish. He taught that true love is strongest, and the sad, twisted joke is that his true love for his son put him in the grave. It wasn't not enough love that killed them, it was too much. Love without limits, love blind to risk. She turned to the camera, face open and real. "I am talking now because I want justice. Not just in court, though I hope Nick never gets out, but justice for who they were. I don't want Rob seen as just a sad news story. I want him remembered as a man who tried so hard to save his son he lost himself. But we must learn. Stop thinking parents who give everything are heroes. If your grown child is hurting you, scaring you at home, love isn't enough. Choose to live." Rob and Michelle didn't, and now the world is colder without them. Meg Ryan, who made romance famous for many, looked broken in a way no movie could fix. "I miss him," she whispered, voice breaking at last. "I miss my friend. I miss feeling safe knowing he was here, and I'll never forgive myself for leaving that day, but I'll use my life to make sure the real story is told. They weren't just killed, they were betrayed, and that's a hurt that never ends." As the camera kept going, capturing the quiet after, Meg sat again, looking at her cold coffee, the heavy words hanging like smoke. She had spoken, but the pain of the loss was louder than anyone expected. The truth of the Reiner home, the slow darkness that took 2 bright Hollywood stars, was out, showing the thin line between endless love and ruining yourself. The talk didn't end with goodbye or credits. It just went dark on Meg's face with tears making view. Feel the hard truth that sometimes bad people aren't hiding. Sometimes they're at your dinner table and were too nice to speak up. What happened after Meg's talk was fast and huge. It wasn't just what she said. It broke the perfect image. For years, the Reiner family was the best in Hollywood. Smart, successful, close. To have someone like Meg Ryan, almost family, take it apart piece by piece made everyone face a rough truth not fit for shiny celeb news. Soon the story changed from sad killing to deep betrayal. She didn't stop with the interview. In the next days, she shared more from her journal's notes with Michelle. She told about a weekend in the Hamptons 3 years before. It was for Rob's 75th birthday party. "We were outside," she said in a note, "just a Vanity Fair, not gossip sites. The sun was going down and Rob looked at the water. He looked older than ever. He said, 'Meg, do you think I failed him?' Not about work. About Nick. He said Nick blamed him for caring more about films than family. That was Nick's main tool, making guilt. He knew Rob wanted to be good. Nick turned that around, made Rob feel his success was wrong, only fixed by giving Nick anything. She told how Michelle turned into someone quieter. Michelle, smart and creative, became just trying to keep peace in a bad place. Michelle quit painting. Meg said she made beautiful landscapes, but last time in her studio nothing was done. She said she couldn't think straight, always waiting for bad news, next problem, next court, next treatment. They lived stressed all the time. You saw it in how they looked, how they moved, always ready for something bad. Meg's words also showed others knew too. She said she wasn't alone seeing warning signs. We all knew, she said in a podcast later, her voice stronger, angry in a good way. Producers, family, friends at parties, we saw Nick act wild, how he talked to them. But Rob protected him so much. If anyone said cut him off or he's dangerous, Rob would stop it. He'd say, you don't get addiction. But it wasn't only addiction, it was taking over the family. And we followed Rob's rules, stayed quiet. We let them sink because we didn't want to upset the leader of the falling ship. The scariest part Meg shared was a talk with Nick alone in the kitchen years ago. He was nice then, she said. That's what makes it scary. He could be charming like Rob. He said, you know, Meg, my parents live in a dream. They think life has happy endings, but it's not a movie. Then I thought just young doubt. Now I see it was a warning. He was saying he'd bring the real bad ending they didn't expect. As the trial on January 7 got close, Meg's words in public and maybe in court were big. She said she's not scared of Nick now. He took who I loved. He can't take more from me. She started a group in Rob and Michelle's name for older parents hurt by grown kids, a hidden problem she said Rob sadly became known for. I went to the house yesterday, Meg told a reporter, voice empty. Police tape gone, but it feels empty. Used to have music, smell of food, laughs, now just a big quiet building in Brentwood. I went to Rob's office. His glasses still there, script open to page 42. Like time stopped. I sat in his chair and promised him. Promised the story won't end with his death. It will end with truth. The hard, messy, sad truth he was too nice to say. Meg Ryan, breaking her quiet, took away the shock value and left real deep sadness. Not about the scary details anymore. About a family falling apart inside. It made people think about their own family's secrets. Made Rob and Michelle's story not just Hollywood, but everyone's. A warning from a perfect-looking life that was breaking inside, hidden by money and fame. Meg Ryan, the sweet girl next door, had changed, and made the world change too, to see darkness no film magic can hide.